Hello, welcome to Prime Time. Today's tutorial is going to be about rounding and how to set the rounding in the PrimeNet software. So from our dashboard here or anywhere in the application, if we just go hover over configuration, down to rule setup, and then over and down to rounding policies and click on rounding policies. That'll bring up all rounding policies that we have configured for our system. If we want to put a new rounding policy in, we click Add New Rounding Policy. And give it a name. I normally give them numbers, and then a description. And then we can decide on how we want our time to round. So if we look, we've got the start and end punches. We can round them forward to the next 15 minutes. We can round them to the nearest 15 minutes or to the previous 15 minutes. Now I use 15 minutes just because, but we could put 5 minutes in there. You could put 7, whatever your company policy dictates on how your rounding works is what you should be entering in here. The 15-minute is the standard, if you will, what most people use. Not all, but what most people use. And we put in the 15 minutes right there. Now, when you're thinking about the rounding, and especially the 15-minute rule or any of the rules, even if it's a 10-minute rule, but I'm going to use the 15-minute rule. So if an employee clocks in at 7:07 a.m., that's the halfway point of the 15-minute block. The rounding gets its 15-minute blocks from 7 a.m. to 7:15, 7:15 to 7:30, 7:30 to 7:45, 7:45 to 8. And each hour just like that, 9 to 9:15, 9:15 to 9:30, and so forth. When an employee clocks in, it looks at where they're clocking in at in those 15-minute blocks. So if I clock in at 7:07, that's not quite half. So the system's going to start taking the time and calculating from 7 a.m. Now if I clock in at 7:08, that's over the halfway mark of the 15 minutes, and the system would roll them to the next 15-minute block if using the nearest for the 7:15. Of course, backward, it doesn't matter where they clock in, from 7 to 7:14 or 7:15, it's going to round them back to 7 a.m. to the previous 7 block. So from 7:14 all the way back. Once they're at 7:15, that's basically the start, and they don't have to roll back from there. Forward, the same thing. If somebody clocks in at 7:03, our rule is set to round them forward to the next 15-minute block. So it would start their time ticking from 7:15. Again, the nearest is the most common rule to where it works on the outside or the inside of that 15-minute block. Now, as well as the 7:07 or 7:08 going to 7 or 7:15 respectively, there's also when they clock in earlier than 7. So 7:50 would round back to 7:45. 7:53 would round forward to 8 o'clock and start the clock ticking from 8 o'clock. And the same thing with the end time. Round that to the nearest 15 minutes. Then you have your transfers or switch. Here you have to decide how you want that to take place. Do you want the transfer to round at all? Do you want it to round to the nearest 5 minutes, or do you want it to round to the nearest 15 minutes? Most people leave the transfer on an as is because they want it to start right away as it happens. So with a 0, it's not going to round anything. Same with your lunch start and your lunch return. Although some people may round this to the nearest 15 minutes so that it captures a full 30 minutes. That's up to the company policy on how you want the lunches to round. Our lunch duration, this rounds the lunch on a given duration. So if their lunch is 30 minutes, then I set this to the nearest 30 minutes. If they take a 20-minute lunch, it's going to round them forward to the 30-minute mark. The break start and break return are the same as the start and end. It'll round this to the nearest number of minutes that you're set in here in the blocks for. The shift threshold should be about 5 minutes when you're setting this up. This incorporates any punch within or over 5 minutes to be able to round. Once I've set up the shift and how I want it to work, I click Save. Lunch duration, rounding minutes. We're just put that in here. I want that forward. We just put a number in there. And that sets our policy. To assign employees to this, there's a couple of different areas that we can assign them. I can click here, Assign Employees, select Filter, or if I just wanted a single employee, I could select a card ID and click Filter, and that brings them to where I can select them. You can also enter their name, part of their name, department they're assigned to, or just click Filter and then go down and click on the employee's name, or if you're doing multiple, or if you're applying this to everyone in the company, just click on this first square and that will select everyone. Click Confirm and then click OK, and now Larry is successfully assigned to the rounding policy that we just made. Now, one spot on here that we went through was the minutes over here. So we need to know how many minutes to go backwards or forwards within this duration. So basically what this is asking is, how long should the lunch be before we just roll it forward? And you can put 20 minutes in here. So if they take a 20-minute lunch, the duration can be considered 30 minutes. Go ahead and click Save. And we've successfully configured and assigned employees to our rounding rule. You can have as many rounding rules as you want. Oftentimes, different groups of employees may get different types of rounding. All you need to do is just add them in, just as we added the test rounding rule in. Thank you for watching and have a great day.